Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So today we're going to be talking about the Real Game Awards, which has caused some controversy in the gaming industry. Now, what is the Real Game Awards? Well, it's a reaction to the standard game awards that you see that are primarily run by journalists, including some journalists that have nothing to do with gaming, who have the majority say as to what games win what awards. And this is supposed to counteract that by allowing gamers to vote on these categories. Now, it just concluded the other day, the round for the last year of the Real Game Awards. You can see it's posted by Craig, who is the founder of the Real Game Awards and the Side Scroller podcast as well. But we see a lot of people very angry about this, including some developers who were positively featured in this award show. They are now very angry about the hateful and controversial people that apparently they're now tied to as a result of these free promotions in the Real Game Awards. Now, this is the first one that caused controversy. This is the Racing Game of the Year. This apparently was a very hateful and anti-woke message that you're about to see right here. Let's see if you can find the controversy in what's about to be said.
I would say something about stunning graphics, but none of your nominees are really known for graphic powerhouses. They were really just built around fun. And your nominees for Best Racing Game are Park Garage Rally Circuit, Nightmare Kart, Victory Heat Rally. And the Real Game Award for Best Racing Game goes to, with 54% of your vote, Nightmare Kart.
That's it. That's what apparently was so anti-woke and hateful. Well, they're talking about this Nightmare Kart game that was developed by this individual, Bunlith. You can see on Twitter here, you can look at their bio. They're trans, they're gay, and they support Black Lives Matter and ACAB and all these things. But none of this was relevant to the Real Game Awards because people don't care about the identity of someone who developed a game if the game is actually enjoyable. In this case, it doesn't appear that any of their beliefs or their gender ideology was leaked into the actual game itself. It was a fun game as it was described and people really resonated with it. That's why gamers chose it as Racing Game of the Year. However, this person would respond very bizarrely to this award that they won. This is how they responded. So honored to have won the coveted Anti-Woke Game Awards Best Racing Game category. As a trans woman, it's so comforting to see them prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion. To celebrate, I'm going to have gay intercourse with my bundle of sticks, transgender dog girl. So first of all, that last part, okay, knock yourself out. No one's saying you can't do that. It's a weird thing to share in a message like this after winning a game award. But you can see they're trying to basically show this as an attack on them, that they are the victim in the situation, and they categorize this whole thing as an anti-woke game awards. That is not what it is. It's not anti-woke. It's a response to how journalists have dominated all of these standard game awards, and this is a response to that. And then you can see how they try to say on one hand that they're being anti-woke, but also encouraging DEI by including them in their award show. That obviously doesn't make any sense. What's going on here is a very bizarre reaction to receiving positive responses from people now interested in this game. This was a good opportunity to get more people interested in your game, and this is how this developer responded. It's very aggressive and hostile for absolutely no reason. You can see people in the replies saying, "Holy wow, what's the context here?" Where they respond saying, "Don't worry, kitten." Well, Craig would make a quote and reply with the same message, saying what I believe is a very reasonable response to a very unreasonable post where he says, "Congrats, you'll notice that literally no one cared that you're trans. Literally no one. The audience cared that you made a good game. That's all people want. Our show is not anti-woke. It's simply meant to be an alternative to the access media / industry show. Enjoy your gay intercourse." Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair response, like I said, to something that was a pretty unhinged response to winning an award and getting a positive mention in the Real Game Awards. But you can see right here, you can't see the post because, well, they would try to duck any sort of response to Craig by blocking him and also hiding his reply in the comments section. And this was his reaction to that. The post below was both a quote and reply to the trans developer who was trying to be snarky about winning an award at the Real Game Awards. My response was honest and in good faith. this person's response, hide it from the post, and block me, as it doesn't fit their internalized victim narrative and public narrative they want to spin. However, or somehow, while this person was literally getting praise for their work, they were able to spin it into being a victim. I mean, I think that's the whole thing. They wanted to paint themselves as a victim in the situation when only positivity was directed their way, and they basically just fumbled the bag here. Like, they could have just made a good first impression on people who are now aware of this game as a result of the Real Game Awards. Instead, they lash out at Craig here, and it looks really, really bad. Now, speaking of hidden replies, boy howdy, is there a lot of them. And again, this isn't like unhinged, crazy responses. These are pretty fair criticisms, and a lot of them happen because, well, they saw that you were getting clearly pretty angry about the replies and you were hiding them, so more people would add their voice, and in turn, more hidden replies would be made. So here's an example. This person said, winning an anti-woke award seems kind of contradictory to being comforted by their prioritization of diversity and inclusion, doesn't it? That's what I said earlier. Very fair point. This person said it's almost like it doesn't matter what you are and people just like the game. Y'all are so close to understanding. Yeah, they're very close to understanding that people don't care what your gender ideology is or what your sexuality is, as long as you don't inject it into your game as a form of virtue signaling. Instead, just make a good game. That's all that matters. Nobody would care about any of these things if you just made a good game and kept all of your own personal beliefs and identities out of the game. But here's another one saying the show isn't anti-woke, but congrats on being acknowledged by actual gamers and not journalists, corporate effery. Here's another one, because what matters is the game. No one cares if you are gay or trans in your personal life. Another one says it's not really anti-woke so much as anti-corporate journalism. In the game, no one cares what the dev does in their free time and in their bed. That's why so many of you don't understand why it won, apparently including the dev. And then you can see Craig's comment in the hidden replies here. But here's some more saying your game looks all right, but did you really think this was going to help your project and sales? Another one says no one cares that you're trans, just like we don't care that the dev of Lethal Company is a furry. All we care about is that you made a very fun, well-made game. And this person said, Wokey actually managed to make a game without shitting it up with rainbow flags and propaganda. The result was a racing game that was actually good. No one cares. You made a good game and people like it. What is wrong with being humble? I get you don't agree with Craig and us on a political level, but it's okay to enjoy an award instead of being a prick about it. When I said there's a lot of hidden replies, by the way, I think you get the point, but look at this. I mean, seriously, I'm not even halfway down yet. There are literally hundreds upon hundreds of hidden replies. They had to manually do this. So they read through every single one of these and clicked a couple buttons to hide them. So they're aware of these comments and the content within them. They understand the criticisms that are being launched. And instead of acknowledging any of them, they hid literally every single one of them. It's crazy. And then in response to all this, they've locked the replies on all of their tweets. And then they said this, just a heads up, people are trying to generate fake AI images of me in a future cancellation attempt. Keep an eye out. Wow, the bots, LMAO. This place sucks so bad. Why am I even here? Well, responding to that last part, I leave. Like, if you don't enjoy this platform, why would you be here? It makes absolutely no sense why you would stay on X. Just go to Blue Sky. Like, you clearly don't want to have conversations about anything. You don't want to engage in good faith about anything. And you just want to play the eternal victim, even though people are praising you. That is the source of everything that's going on here. If you want a proper echo chamber for your beliefs, go to Blue Sky. You will fit in very well there. And then you have this part about people generating fake AI images. I have no idea what's going on here, but it's a very strange thing to say. It almost seems like there's something that you're hiding here. I don't know. Just seems very odd. But that wasn't the only developer who was very upset about the Real Game Awards. Here is the next game that was focused on in that demonstration, Salako. Now, this is a first-person shooter that apparently a lot of people have a very positive view of, including Craig and the participants of the Real Game Awards. At one point during the broadcast, they did a free promotion of this game and encouraged everyone watching to go check this out on Steam. It was a very positive promotion that was not asked by them. Like, no one asked them to do this. They did this on their own volition to promote a game that they believed in. And how did the developer respond to all this? by attacking Craig and the show. So here's some of the initial responses. This person saying, why the F did Salako Game put an ad in that shitty ass Gamergate award show? Where the lead dev, Nextic, would say, we have nothing to do with it. Up until an hour ago, I didn't even know what it was. And then they would go to Blue Sky, because of course, and they would say all this. We paid for nothing. I do not even know about this show. The more I'm looking into this, the more I want to distance myself. We have not paid for an advertisement for the real Game Awards. I've never even heard of it until an hour ago. Anyways, time to go back to sleep. Well, yeah, I don't think they needed your permission to promote your game, and they didn't do it in any sort of a politicized or anti-woke or any sort of manner like that. They just did it because they think your game is good and they wanted to promote it to some new audiences. And now you're having this spurg out on multiple platforms because you're afraid people might associate you with the real Game Awards. It's very strange, but it goes way beyond just saying, hey, we're not associated. It becomes personal attacks. So this person says, complaining about free advertising for your product, LOL. And then the developer responds by saying, when it comes to potentially damaging the brand we built from nothing, yes, absolutely, and that's perfectly justifiable. There's more to my life than making money, and I'll gladly sell fewer copies if it means not being associated with a hateful individual. Of course, referring to Craig. Calling them a hateful individual with absolutely no justification for it. They don't list a single reason why they're a hateful individual, and then trying to get on your podium here and say, well, I'm going to sell less copies and I don't care because I don't want to be associated with a meanie like Craig from the real Game Awards. It sounds very gratuitous, and it sounds like another play to get attention and brownie points on social media. But like I said, it'll keep going beyond just saying we're not associated into personal attacks. As pointed out in the screenshots people got from the related Discord, Nextic, the lead developer, would say this. No idea what that is, but the name implies it's hosted by a bunch of people who got so mad over something as stupid as an award show that they decided to host their own. Am I far off? Oh, it's the Screw Attack guy. How do I undo our nomination? He seems way too much of a culture war grifter, and I don't have the energy for either side of those. Well, you have a lot of energy for the other side. Let me just make that very clear based on what we're seeing here, because you're having multiple statements across multiple platforms trying to quickly distance yourself from a free promotion on a show that was speaking of you very positively. So I think you're doing a lot of work for one side. But as you can see, calling them a grifter and also miscategorizing again this whole thing, saying it's basically something angry about stupid award shows. No, it's a response to give gamers a real voice in these shows. Unlike the Game Awards, where journalists comprise of 90% of the voting power. And again, like I said, you have people like the LA Times as a contributing voter among journalists, and they don't even do gaming news. It makes absolutely no sense. That's why the winners of the categories in the real Game Awards were very different than the categories of the official shows like the Game Awards, right? But there's more screenshots here. Next tick down here saying, I guess people go to desperate measures trying to find their relevancy again. Shame. I was a huge game trailers guy back in the day. The good people eventually reunited as easy allies, but they're also on the verge of collapse, I believe, unfortunately. So they go off here and say that basically Craig and all these people are desperate and trying to gain some sort of relevancy once again. What a humbled and measured response to a free promotion in a Game Award show made by gamers and members of the related communities. What a measured response and smart form of promotion here. But here's two responses I want to look at to this whole situation. Kirsha had a very good point here saying, these game devs try to morally grandstand to what audience? Hateful individual in quotes. Craig is a super sweet guy and has been working in his space for a hell of a long time. Problematic presenters, end quote. Who and how? People try to smear me all the time, and I've worked with a bunch of game devs and publishers. Don't capitulate to the actual hate mob. Slamming the categories, game journalists, have been outed as liars and smear merchants over and over again. They aren't the media that the consumer base listens to anymore. That's content creators now. And to address that last point, we've talked about it a lot recently, where a lot of these journalists are very, very angry at YouTubers. They've been historically very angry at YouTubers who cover gaming news and controversies and stuff like that. And now, in their failure, because no one even wants to hate click on their articles anymore, they're desperately trying to pivot. And a lot of them are going to places like YouTube and Twitch, and they're quite literally trying and failing to become content creators and YouTubers that they used to always make a personality out of hating. It's very funny to see, but as Kirsha points out, like all these labels, hateful individual, problematic, they don't actually explain why any of these things are true. And it's just that easy to point these things out and run with it without any proof, because people are so desperate to dunk on people who they deem as anti-woke in a culture war that all these people, including this Salako developer, is engaging in. But here's another one from Jay Viper saying, I want to be clear about what happened here. A cancel mob who had no interest in Salako game went at them and shamed them into a statement and stance they didn't have to make. The dev team made the unfortunate decision to bend the knee to people who don't care about them at all and were only interested in making them bow in front of them. Now the dev team is spouting absolute nonsense about Craig, actually making shit up about him, and the only group who supported them for free and without being asked to do it. They sold out for a day of kudos from nobodies who never truly supported the games they care about, and for what? Nothing except to support the actual hate mob in gaming. Salako currently is having its worst weekend this year. The smallest player peak, and they are down to 2,400 top sellers on the Steam store. I hope it was worth it. And here's a screenshot of their player activity over the past couple of days, and look what it did. This was the big resurgence from all the woke people they're pandering to, who cared so much about this game and were so impressed by the stance that this lead dev made against the Real Game Awards. I hope this was worth basically outing yourself as someone who can't really be trusted and doesn't really care about gamers at large. But overall, the Real Game Awards caused a lot of controversy, even though it was just a response to how out of touch all of these official, quote-unquote official Game Award shows are. And giving gamers a voice really pisses people off, apparently, especially in the industry, and they really showed their true colors. Multiple developers spurging out over being mentioned in a positive manner, and they couldn't be bothered to even check the context before they bowed to all these people who are hounding them to say something about their association with the Real Game Awards. And yeah, again, I want to make this clear too. Nobody who was nominated or featured in the Real Game Awards had any duty to not only thank Craig. You don't have to thank Craig or the Real Game Awards. You don't even have to acknowledge them, but to go out and try to sling mud at them for your own benefit, for brownie points on social media, makes you look really, really bad, and people don't forget bad looks like this. But anyways, I'll put a link to their Twitter account. You can check out the relevant links from there. This is going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you next time.